At the heart of our solar system, the sun suddenly releases a massive solar flare, blazing its way through space toward the planets. Far away in Turkey, a skilled diver named Arman is peacefully enjoying his day out at sea. After a long swim, he unexpectedly runs into his ex, Defne. She's come with a proposal to join her on an underwater expedition to the Erebus Trench, but things get tense when she mentions their sponsor is Yenilik Inc., a company owned by Arman's father. That name alone triggers old tensions, leading to an argument. Still, Defne urges him to consider the offer before walking away. That same evening, the flare reaches Earth's orbit, knocking out a satellite. It's rapidly closing in on Mercury, and its trajectory doesn't go unnoticed. Selik, stationed at an airbase in Adana, picks it up and immediately informs her commander. They decide to report it discreetly, without raising alarm. The next day, Arman discovers a strange file slipped under his door. Alarmed, he rushes to find Defne, and instead stumbles into an awkward moment. She's with her fiancé, Kenan. Putting personal feelings aside, Arman demands more details about the mission. Defne pulls out some charts and explains that his father is in search of a rare fuel source from a site that had vanished for a century but has now been rediscovered. Arman's excitement grows when he hears that the location might contain Savalia savaglia, a rare black coral he's always dreamed of studying. That's all the motivation he needs. By nightfall, he joins the expedition team, reuniting with familiar faces like Defne's assistant Rana, marine biologist Sem, and oceanographer Felix. Tension rises as Arman learns that Kenan is joining the mission. The sight of him, paired with a sudden phone call from his estranged father, leaves Arman unsettled. He can't shake the feeling that something bigger is unfolding. Far away at the airbase, Officer Silik stumbles upon a classified meeting. What she hears is chilling. Powerful gamma rays are heading straight for Earth, and humanity may have only days to prepare. That night, driven by instinct, Silik calls her mother with a desperate warning. Hide underground before Thursday. But the message is intercepted. Moments later, armed soldiers surround her home. Acting fast, Silik barricades the door, abandons her phone, and slips out the back, vanishing into the night before the soldiers can reach her. Out at sea, the crew prepares for a trial dive. Defne wants to test their submarine before reaching the Erebus Trench. She leads the team underwater, while Kenan and the captain remain on deck. Just before they leave, the captain shares disturbing news. Something strange is happening in the Asian seas. Authorities blame it on a volcanic eruption, but the truth feels far darker. Despite the warning, they dive. Hours pass beneath the surface, where darkness is absolute, until a sudden flash of light cuts through the water. It shouldn't be possible. Alarmed, they rush back to the surface. But something's wrong. The boat is silent. The radio, dead. And when they search the vessel, it's completely deserted. On board, they find a laptop. A video from Kenan plays. A warning from Asia claims that the sun is now deadly, its rise bringing death. He and the others have fled to find shelter in Kosstown. With no time to waste, the crew decides to head for the same bunker. But first, they must return to shore to recharge the sub. On their way, a strange blip appears on the radar. Something is moving toward them. When they finally reach land, they're met with silence. The place is deserted. No power. No signal. Nothing. Suddenly, a massive military submarine surfaces nearby. It's the Yakima's S-245. Navy personnel emerge, confused by the dead infrastructure. Arman briefs Commander Aranay, while Defne receives a chilling satellite message from Kenan. Chaos is erupting in the streets. They have just 4 hours until sunrise. Aranay wastes no time. Alongside his second-in-command Umut, he rallies the soldiers to locate the hidden bunker. Felix and Sem grab equipment and set off to repair the electrical grid, hoping to restore power before it's too late. Defne and Arman join the search, leaving Rana behind with instructions to wait. As their vehicle pulls away, Umut jumps in beside them. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocks the docks. Rana breaks down, terrified of what's to come. Officer Yanka tries to calm her, offering whatever comfort she can. Elsewhere, Felix and Sem finally locate the power station. It's a wreck, burned out wires, sparks flying, total chaos. But they get to work. Sem, hands trembling, is clearly on edge until a small bag slips from his pocket, revealing the real reason behind his struggle. As the group races to restore power, Sem begins to tremble uncontrollably. A small bag slips from his pocket, revealing he's been taking illegal stimulants. With no time to waste, Felix steps in to finish the repairs. Meanwhile, Arman and the others finally reach Kos, only to be met with a nightmare. Fires still smolder and bodies litter the ground. Every corpse shows signs of having burned from the inside out. Following Kennan's video, they push into a nearby church, but the horror continues. Inside, it's the same, lifeless bodies everywhere. Soon, the officers arrive and begin sweeping the town, finding corpses in every alley and room. Officer Barris suddenly doubles over and vomits, possibly from shock or exposure. Searching through a car, Arman spots a pair of thermal binoculars and scans the area. Not a single heat signature. No survivors. Just then, news comes in. Someone has been found alive inside a bank vault. Arman, Umut, and the team rush over. The survivor is disoriented and speaking ancient Greek. Arman translates. The man only survived because the vault is made of lead, shielding him from the radiation. But he keeps repeating that everyone is wrong. The medics confirm he's bleeding internally and barely breathing. Without warning, Umut shoots him. Arman is furious, but Umut coldly responds, "It was an act of mercy." Realizing it's not safe above ground, the crew prepares to retreat to the submarine. Daphne, still hoping Kenan is alive, begs for more time. Umut grants her and Arman 30 minutes before the vessel submerges. Back at the bank, some officers begin looting bags of cash, justifying it by saying the owners are all dead. The greed sparks an argument that quickly turns physical. Right then, Felix restores power, accidentally triggering the bank's security system. Doors slam shut, trapping several officers inside. One soldier tries to help, but when the vault doors begin to close on him, he steps back, leaving his teammates locked in. Felix and Sem return safely to the docks. Rana, checking the news, uncovers a terrifying scientific update. The sun's polarity has shifted, a phenomenon that occurs every 11 years. But this time, it was unusually strong, releasing deadly gamma rays that scorched the planet. Suddenly, loudspeakers across Kos wail an evacuation alert. There's a shelter in nearby Tagaki. Arman and Daphne rush there, but what they find crushes them. The shelter is full of bodies, including Kenan's. Arman retrieves Kenan's phone and plays the final video, a chilling clip that shows everyone in the bunker collapsing simultaneously as their bodies ignite from within. Daphne breaks down in tears, but there's no time to grieve. The sun is rising. They rush to the docks, racing against daylight. As the submarine begins to descend, Umut spots them, but shuts the hatch. Arman jumps onto the sub and pounds on the hatch in desperation. Inside, Yanka hears him and opens it just in time. They dive beneath the waves, barely escaping the deadly sunlight. Inside the Yakima's, tension simmers. Umut confronts Arman, blaming him and Daphne for chasing a ghost and costing the lives of his men. "I'll never forgive you," he says coldly. Time passes with no word from the outside. Morale sinks. Barris grows weaker, hallucinating visions of his mother. Meanwhile, Arman and the others are given a full tour of the submarine and briefed on the protocols. Suddenly, alarms blare. The hydraulic system is failing. The sub shakes violently as backup systems kick in. With their engineer lost in the chaos at the bank, it's up to Arman to fix the problem. Working quickly under pressure, he manages to stabilize the system, buying the crew more time in their fight for survival. Aranai, watching Arman work under pressure, is impressed. After testing his knowledge with a few sharp questions, he makes a bold decision. Arman is now the submarine's chief engineer, but not everyone is pleased. Umut eyes him coldly. "If you mess this up, you won't get another chance," he warns. Officer Altan isn't subtle either, reminding Arman, "You may have a title, but you have no authority here." While Arman takes on his new role, the rest of his group is assigned to cleaning duty. But before long, the hostility boils over. Altan and a few officers ambush Felix, kicking him without warning. They seize Sem by the neck, accusing him of being responsible for the deaths of their fellow soldiers. After hurling insults and tightening their grip, they let him fall. Umut watches silently from afar. He sees everything, but chooses to do nothing. Daphne, furious, tells Arman what just happened, but Arman urges caution. "If we push back, they'll only get worse," he warns. Not satisfied, Daphne marches straight to Aranai, but the commander brushes her off. "My soldiers wouldn't dare try anything under my watch." Meanwhile, Barris continues slipping deeper into madness. He claims to see someone crawling through the vents, but no one believes him. Tensions worsen when a few food cans go missing. Altan immediately targets Daphne, but Yanka steps in to defend her. Fueled by paranoia, Altan gathers the officers and confronts Aranai, accusing Arman's group of theft and demanding they be removed from the sub. Before Aranai can act, Arman steps forward. In a powerful, impassioned speech, he reminds them of everything they've lost, their families, their world. "We can tear each other apart," he says, "or we can survive together. The choice is ours. But the moment is shattered. Felix notices something terrifying. Barris is holding a grenade. He rushes to warn the others. As panic spreads, Aranai and a group of soldiers race to confront Barris, who is lost in his own apocalyptic vision. He mutters about cleansing the earth, about Judgment Day, about rebirth through destruction. Aranai quickly realizes the truth. There's no reasoning with him. He slams the door shut just as Barris pulls the pin. The explosion rocks the submarine. Aranai is gone. The alarms scream. Water leaks from the ruptured walls. Pressure starts building. Too much, too fast. If they can't stop it, the entire sub could implode. Officers and civilians alike join forces. Armin leads the charge to fix the damage. But every tool fails. Every patch gives way. The leaks keep growing. Sem begins to panic. Altan lashes out, grabbing him again, but Felix shoves him off. The tension is explosive. Finally, they accept the truth. There's no way to fix it from the inside. The only option left is outside. Daphne protests. At this depth, it's suicide. Armin meets her eyes. So is staying here. They have no choice. It's time to face the deep. Alone in the dim corridor, Yonka weeps, silent tears for Aranai, her father. The grief is short-lived. Umut enters, cold and focused. Suit up, he says. You're the only one who can help Armin out there. There's no room for mourning, not now. Moments later, Armin and Yonka descend into the dark abyss, armed with specialized gear. The deep sea swallows them whole. Black, pressure-filled, and silent, save for the crackle of their comms. They find the leaks. Armin begins patching with focused precision, but Yonka strays too far. Suddenly, impact. An anglerfish slams into her. She's thrown back and disoriented. In the pitch black, she can't find the sub. Inside, everything goes wrong at once. The lights flicker, then die. The switchboard crashes. Emergency power kicks in as chaos ripples through the corridors. Armin seals the leaks, then turns to find Yonka. He locates her just in time, and they make it back, barely avoiding pressure damage. As the hatch closes, they exchange a look. Whatever just happened in the deep, it stays between them. Later, Umut is officially declared the new commander. Yonka is made his second in command. Their next destination, the Iskenderun naval base in Turkey. Time passes slowly. Tension and fatigue simmer beneath the silence. Felix keeps watch over Sem, who's shaking and sweating from withdrawal. Eventually, the sub reaches the base. Outside, abandoned police cars. Inside, death. The team spreads out, only to find the building littered with lifeless bodies. The fallen soldiers are buried with honor. A ceremonial salute cuts the air like a blade. Umut watches in silence. Then among the dead, he sees a girl, a hallucination. One that vanishes when an officer calls his name, snapping him back to grim reality. News reports confirm the worst. The world is burning. Wildfires rage everywhere. Sem slips away to smoke, gazing at a city ablaze in the distance. His hope falters. Back in the sub, Yonka places a photo of Aranai on the wall. The crew salutes, united in grief. Arman and the others go back to work, sealing leaks, patching vulnerabilities. Umut sends teams into the base for supplies, food, medicine, anything. In the kitchen, Altan samples the rations. Tasteless, he mutters. Then, movement. A sound in the shadows. Altan and Yonka investigate. Her bag is gone. They track the noise, tension thick in the air. Then a sudden clatter, just a broken can. False alarm? Maybe. In the infirmary, Sem frantically searches the shelves. Daphne catches on. He's desperate for anything to ease his addiction. She pulls him away before it's too late. Something isn't right here, and the shadows are starting to move again. Sem trembles alone in a corner, but hidden in his pocket is a bottle. He secretly downs some pills. Withdrawal won't slow him down, yet. Back in the submarine, Felix hears something. A faint clatter. He follows the sound into the shadows. A flashlight left on the ground. Strange. Before he can investigate, a mysterious woman lunges out of the dark, shoving Felix down and bolting. He gives chase, but is knocked down again. Felix sounds the alarm. Officers flood the base, chasing the intruder through dim corridors. She's fast, fending off trained soldiers with quick strikes and raw instinct. Felix corners her at last, but finds himself staring down the barrel of a gun. She gives her name, Selik. The officers arrive just in time, forcing her to surrender. She's cuffed and dragged to the sub. Felix, recalling Barris's hallucinations, investigates the vents, where he finds empty cans and a discarded uniform. Selik had been hiding here all along, surviving by stealing food and spying. Umut demands answers, nearly striking her. But when Felix presents the uniform, Selik finally talks. She'd overheard talk of the solar flare long ago and hid before the disaster struck. From inside the vents, she's learned everyone's secrets. She drops a bombshell. Yonka nearly failed the dive mission. And worse, Erinay might have been a traitor, trying to contact someone without the crew's knowledge. Yonka and Umut rush to Erinay's quarters. They find a hidden compartment. Inside, his logbook. Everyone in Armin's team is listed as no affiliation. But next to Defne's name, question marks. They return to Selik, who urges them, watch Defne closely. Don't let her know. Meanwhile, Defne, working in secret, hooks her satellite phone to the base computers. She tries to connect, nothing. Then, new trouble. 2 soldiers fall sick. Arman realizes they were among the ones who buried the bodies. Sem investigates. A taste test reveals the truth. Food from the base tastes like paper, but food from the sub is still good. Sem delivers his verdict. The sun's radiation has damaged the molecular structure of exposed food. Their fresh rations are useless. They have 1 week of safe food left. The only hope? Canned goods. Metal might have shielded them. Troops are sent out to scour the base. Desperate for help, Umut strikes a deal. Selik gets her freedom if she helps. Selik accesses the base's computers and picks up a broken transmission, a voice in Spanish. May God protect us all. She then hacks into Defne's file, and what she finds changes everything. Defne once worked with NATO, researching deep-sea habitats, and the data suggests she knew about the coming solar disaster. Yonka sits with Defne, trying to draw her out with friendly questions. But Defne isn't fooled. She senses the trap, cuts the talk short, and walks away. Suddenly, a plane flies overhead. Selik jumps on the computers, trying to track it. Meanwhile, the radio picks up a broken Russian transmission. They're trying to contact the space station. After the static fades, Selik refocuses on the plane and notices Umut quietly writing down a number. Elsewhere, Arman's team finds a stockpile of canned food. It looks like salvation, but one taste proves otherwise. The food's rotten, just like everything else touched by the sun. The others return. Same result. Disheartened, everyone gathers around Selik's screen. She's tracked the plane's trajectory. Arman studies it and sees the truth. They're flying west, chasing the night, running from the sun. He wants to contact them, to cooperate. But Umut shuts him down fast. Paranoid and growing more volatile, he declares the plane may be hostile and warns that if anyone tries to reach it, he'll shoot it down. Back on the sub, it's time to leave, but Sem stays behind, exhausted by addiction, shame, and guilt. Defne tries to save him, but he's too far gone. Later, guilt hits Defne like a wave. She breaks down alone in the sub. Rana, meanwhile, is struggling with the tight walls of the sub, claustrophobia closing in. Umut comforts her and shares a drink. Softly, he admits. She reminds him of his daughter, who didn't survive. Above, the sun rises. Alone on the beach, Sem walks into the ocean, choosing peace over pain. Night falls. The sub resurfaces. Sem's body lies on the shore. His friends step out to mourn. A silent farewell. Selik resumes her search and locates the plane, now in Bulgaria. That area has several dams, possibly concealing an underwater NATO bunker. Just then, a new message crackles through the static, Spanish again. It speaks of survivors and a safe haven in the Gijon mine, Spain, providing coordinates. Umut gathers everyone, but instead of following the coordinates, he declares, "We're going to Bulgaria." He claims the bunker is safer than a mine. Defne is disturbed. Umut is no longer a leader. He's a dictator, and she's uneasy about the growing number of weapons aboard. As the sub departs again, Umut returns to Erinay's logbook. He finds a hidden slip of paper, a code. He tries it on the computer, but it doesn't work. Then, a new broadcast plays. A group of survivors is heading to Norway. Umut makes a snap decision. Quietly, without telling anyone, he gives a command. Change course to Norway. And so the mission drifts into uncharted waters, steered by a man who may be losing his way. While alone, Defne secretly works on her laptop, but quickly hides it when Arman shows up. He surprises her with birthday wishes, and the mood turns flirtatious. Their moment is cut short by a sudden explosion, triggering alarms in the submarine. Chaos spreads fast, but Umut calms everyone, revealing it was just a drill to keep them alert. He then announces their next destination, Norway, claiming Bulgaria has run out of food. The crew is skeptical, but Altan backs him up, saying he heard the same on the radio. Umut then explains his real goal, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a backup storage for seeds in case of worldwide catastrophe. He plans to retrieve seeds to grow crops aboard the sub using hydroponics. Arman and Felix agree it's tough but doable. However, Defne argues that Spain is a better option, pointing out the time seeds take to grow and the long journey to Norway. This sparks a heated debate, with Arman siding with her. Eventually, Umut compromises. They'll stop by Spain first, but warns that any failure will be on Daphne and Armin. Later, Daphne returns to her laptop in a hidden room, unaware Shelik is watching. Meanwhile, Umut shares a secret with Altan, who's also being watched by Selik. The sub arrives in Spain, and the crew disembarks armed and cautious. They hear the same eerie mine message broadcasted earlier. With the port deserted, they take cars and follow signs to the mines. Back in the sub, Selik searches for answers but gets caught by Altan. A fight breaks out, and Selik overpowers him, knocking him unconscious before finding Daphne's hidden laptop. She reads secret messages warning Daphne not to trust anyone and hinting she was unaware of the flare. Elsewhere, the team reaches the mine where the elevator only fits 5 people. Once inside, they're seen on security footage, and the lift can't be recalled. In the tunnels, they're ambushed by miners posing as survivors who stage the message to lure help. Armin tries to talk, but Umut opens fire, sparking a brutal firefight. The hostage is killed in the chaos. Meanwhile, Felix locates the elevator control room and realizes someone sabotaged the wiring, delaying rescue. Hearing gunshots, Yonka bravely slides down the elevator cables. Amid the gunfire, Daphne stumbles upon mutilated corpses, evidence the miners are cannibals. One of them chases her, so she hides among the dead, smashing a light and muffling a dying man's cries. A flashlight finds her, but it's Yonka. Trying to free the survivor, they make noise, alerting a nearby miner. Felix and Rana, watching from the sub, quickly radio in to warn them of the incoming threat. Just in time, the women fight back fiercely and manage to kill the attacker by impaling him. Elsewhere, Umut narrowly escapes death. He grabs his gun at the last second and shoots his assailant. He fires a few more rounds, scaring off the remaining miners and saving Armin, who was being overwhelmed. The group gathers back at the elevator, but Felix breaks the bad news. It's beyond repair. They at least manage to seal the doors, buying themselves some time. Armin explores the area and discovers a control panel that can reactivate the elevator. Thinking quickly, he jams a pickaxe into the switch and dashes to jump onto the rising elevator just in time. The miners break through the doors and wait for the elevator to return. Meanwhile, the group runs to their cars and speeds off, except Armin and Daphne, whose car is missing its keys. They're forced to flee on foot as the miners close in. Back at the docks, Felix realizes the keys are in his own pocket. But by the time he tries to go back, the officers stop him. It's almost sunrise and they need to get inside. Some guards stay behind and open fire on the approaching miners. Most of the attackers are shot down, but Daphne stumbles and one miner takes her hostage. Umut refuses to negotiate and opens fire, killing the enemies. But it's too late. Daphne is fatally stabbed before Umut can save her. Armin cradles her in his arms, shattered by the loss, and refuses to let go. The officers are forced to knock him out and carry him into the sub before daylight hits. Back aboard, Yonka commands the team to head toward Norway. Meanwhile, Umut continues trying to access Erinai's files. After several failed attempts, he finally cracks the password and discovers the truth. Their mission was never random. It was never a drill. Umut calls everyone together and reveals that NATO had orchestrated the whole thing from the beginning. They knew about the impending disaster and sent them specifically to rescue Daphne, whose expertise in underwater habitats was critical. Armin's sub wasn't found by accident. It was all part of the mission plan. Suddenly, Armin storms in and punches Umut, provoking him. The officers restrain him as he breaks down, begging for it all to end. But instead of retaliating, Umut has him imprisoned. Seeing this, Felix and Rana rebel. They refuse to work on the seed project unless Armin is freed. Umut coldly responds that they won't be fed if they don't comply. While locked up, Armin overhears guards discussing how 2 of the torpedo launchers are empty, something that might become important later. Meanwhile, Altan tries to keep the team focused on the farming project, but no one knows how to make it work. Felix later visits Armin and fills him in on the narrative Umut has been spreading. Armin asks to speak with Yonka. When she arrives, she gently places Daphne's dog tags in his hand, a silent tribute to the woman they lost. Armin lays out a bold theory. The so-called test tremor that Umut mentioned earlier wasn't a drill. It was actually caused by the missing torpedoes. He also points out that the submarine's bow trim was adjusted for no clear reason, raising more suspicion. According to Armin, Umut has been sabotaging their mission all along in a bid for control. Yonka doesn't buy it at first, but agrees to summon Umut. When Umut arrives, he surprisingly frees Armin and even brings him food, trying to keep the peace. But Arman remains distant, refusing to play along. Frustrated, Umut lashes out, recounting the horrors he's witnessed during war and how he's trying to prevent history from repeating itself. At that point, Arman proposes a deal. If Umut wants Felix and Rana to continue working on the agricultural project, then he must assign 2 men to take the place of the fallen Sem and Defne. Umut initially rejects the offer, but when Arman brings up the unexplained torpedoes, he's backed into a corner and agrees. But just as Umut thinks he's gained control, Arman flips the script. He reveals that their entire conversation has been broadcast across the submarine, exposing Umut's manipulation to everyone on board. The crew is stunned, and Yanka wastes no time in stripping Umut of his command. Enraged, Umut pulls out a gun and begins shouting that everything he did was for their survival. No one moves. He eventually hands the weapon to an officer and demands that he choose who to shoot, himself or Arman. The soldier is frozen with indecision, torn between the two. That's when Arman steps forward and delivers a powerful speech, calming the chaos and helping the crew see the truth. Umut is taken into custody, and Yanka is formally saluted as the new commander. She immediately tasks Selik with hacking into the computer system to uncover the real purpose behind their mission. The data reveals that their sub had been tailing Defnes the entire time, under direct orders from NATO. They were instructed to rescue her before the Sun event, confirming that the Alliance knew about the catastrophe long before it happened. They also find a set of mysterious coordinates in the Indian Ocean and a phone number. As they finally reach Norway and surface the submarine, Yanka uses Defne's satellite phone to call the number, one that Defne had dialed in the past, suggesting a deeper connection still to uncover. To everyone's shock, the person who answers the satellite call is none other than Arman's father, Asil. Clad in a full astronaut suit and surrounded by flourishing crops in an undisclosed location. During the brief call, Asil confesses that the mission Defne was assigned had been fabricated. His real intention was to get Arman on board and save him from the looming catastrophe. Before ending the call, Asil urges Arman to head to coordinates in India, claiming that a new world awaits them there. After the call, Arman comes clean to the crew. He admits that in some ways, Umut had been right all along. But despite what Asil says, Arman doesn't fully trust his father. He believes they should prioritize retrieving the seeds before making any drastic decisions. Meanwhile, Selik, torn between reason and desperation, visits Umut in confinement. She starts to question whether releasing him might be necessary. They might need a sharp strategist like him to go up against someone as manipulative as Asil. Above ground, Rana and one of the officers go searching for the seed vault. Their search leads them to a downed plane nearby. The officer instructs Rana to stay hidden while he checks it out. Elsewhere, Arman stumbles into a mysterious building, only to witness a tense standoff, an armed man threatening another. The scene has eerie ties to the series Into the Dark. Without hesitation, the gunman opens fire on Arman, hitting him and sending him to the floor, bleeding and fading into unconsciousness. Back in the submarine, a new threat looms large. The crew is stunned to discover that a missile has been launched, and it's headed straight for them.